Hello and welcome to Weber Family Reviews. Today we decided to go over games that we have given or would make really good gifts. So we made sure they were available via Amazon or Target, and we tried to make them not exceptionally expensive. They ended up kind of on the lighter side, but we tend to give gifts to people just getting into gaming, so you don't want to throw Twilight Imperium 4 at them. It's like, here, have a game. So
we give games for everything. We give games as wedding gifts. We give games as birthday gifts. We give games as Christmas gifts. We give games as new parent gifts. We're like, you're going to be tired and stressed. You should have something fun to do when the baby's napping. So we give games for literally everything. And we tried to think of games that we've given or would give. And again, we do give lighter games, but usually because we seldom are giving to people who are actual gamers.
Yep. So why don't you start?
Okay. My first game, now a couple things that we considered, he talked about that we considered their price and availability, but we also do think about shipping size because we have to ship most things. Now, if it's a larger game, usually then we ship directly from wherever we're buying it from, be it Amazon or Target, and that's our workaround. But we do consider shipping size because we also ship overseas constantly games too. And so this is Valley of the Kings. And this is would be really easy to ship. It's a really small box. But there's a lot of game in this little box. You have a pyramid that's really cool because the way it works means it works great. Is this 2-player only?
I don't know.
We've never played it not 2-player is my issue. Oh, 2 to 4. Okay, so you can play it 4. But it works really good 2-player because it has a little pyramid that comes down. So while it does, you're picking cards out of it, it's automated how it comes down. And so much like Seven Wonders Duel. It takes a lot of table space to play it. Yeah. But there's a lot of game in this little box, which makes it really easy to ship, really easy to give. And for someone who's already into gaming, this is a good one that maybe they don't already have. That would be a nice addition to their collection.
It is definitely a deck builder that people tend to ignore because it came out at the same time as Star Realms, and Star Realms outshined it. But I've got both, and I would say that one's really a gamer version of it. It's solid. I like it a lot.
And there's 3. This is the base one. There's 2 more versions. They're all standalones, or you can mix them together. We have 2 of the 3.
And they've got a complete set now. So, all right. Spirits of the Wild. We've talked about this before. It is a light game. It is a quick game. And we have probably given out 15 of these. It's all you're doing is you're picking an action that either picks up gems, refills the bowl with gems, takes a spirit action and resets your actions, and you're trying to place them to get certain sets and combinations to get points at the end of the game. Quick. I've had a number of people that we've given it to say, that is excellent, we play it all the time. It's a wonderful game, and you can find it on clearance sometimes, or really you can find it a lot of places. It's incredibly fun and well worth giving to any level of gamer.
And it's a 2-player only, so we've given a lot as wedding gifts.
Yeah. Yep.
This is Photosynthesis as a blue-orange game, so it's not exceptionally heavy, but it's really pretty on the table. The trees, it feels interactive as you're moving your trees around. It's one of those games that it's a fairly light game, but it feels like it's got some meat to it and a bunch of choices as you really do have to think about as you're growing. You're starting your tree as a seed, and then it gets bigger as you change it and the sun moves. And as the sun moves around, which trees are getting points changes. So there's a fair bit of strategy in this game. It's a really pretty game to look at on the table. It's a lot of fun. Now you'll notice the box is pretty big, so this is definitely one that is a shipping consideration. I would probably, if I was going to ship this, I would buy this directly from wherever you were doing it, ship it direct versus reship it. But
it is definitely a pretty game, and you got to think where you're trying to grow your trees so that it gets the most light. That's how you're getting points.
And how you can block other people. I'm not very good at it.
That one, much more vicious the more player count, so it gets more strategic. Another 2-player, because apparently that's what we give out. This one though is Targi. Now Targi is more of a strategic one. So Spirits of the Wild, give it to anybody. Targi, you're going to want somebody who has some idea of how games work. It goes a bit more. But this one, you can find it on Amazon for around $20. You can find it in your local game stores. It works really well. It is a worker placement, action selection, tableau building game. Lots of words to mean you're going to put guys down to do actions. You're going to get stuff in the middle. It's going to go in front of you sometimes, and it makes your ability to do stuff better. Great game, very fun, pretty effective. Thank you. We'll move on. We're about to have a visitor.
This is Harry Potter's deck building game. And the beauty of this, first of all, is really any IP game is if you're giving it to someone who maybe is not as much into gaming, but you're thinking, oh, they seem interested. This is something they already know. They're going to get behind the theme. And this, I've talked about it before, starts out when you play, if you play with just box one, it is a really, really easy game. Just like book one is a really easy read. And if as you go, you get more. So if you give it to a gamer, they can start it with boxes 1 through 3, and it's a good game. And as you build it, it definitely gets a harder game. But it's a great game to give to anyone who you know loves Harry Potter. And it can really go from a light to a heavy gamer, because you can give it to someone introducing to the hobby, and they play box one and they're totally going to get it. Whereas you can give it to someone who is who's done a lot of gaming, and they start with boxes 1 through 3, and they feel like they're already getting a good play out of theirs. You can find it in a lot of places. Not that expensive. It's a pretty big, there's a lot in this box. Now, we actually already have one expansion in there, but if they like it, there's lots of expansions. By the time you're playing box 7, you're playing a really hefty game. But it starts out really easy, so it's a great choice. And plus, again, that IP, if you're not sure how much they're into games, a lot of times the IP will get them into the game. They're going to like it just because it's Harry Potter.
So, this one is one, oh, by the way, our friend, our 3-legged cat, Shadow, wants to be involved.
Yes. I'm going to put him on my lap.
It's okay if he moves around, because he's not going to stay. Compounded, though, is a fun chemistry, I don't know what weight it is, or even, it's kind of a resource management, resource selection game. But there's a lot more to it. This is more towards the middleweight game, light to medium. It's very fun, and the chemical compounds in it are real, so there's some education to it. And it just flows really good. We like it a lot. Our son likes it. But this one's reasonably small and cheap, but packs a heck of a punch. It does the job well. It takes about an hour to play, and I think this is one underrated game. Also, it's from a company called Dice Hate Me Games, and that hits home. They definitely hate me.
It's good. It's a good game, and as I said, it's more. There's more than you think there is there. Now, this is a great family game. This is a huge hit in our house. This is Draftosaurus. I think we've actually played it twice this week. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 sides to the board, so that, there's an easier and a little bit harder side, but both sides, it's a 15-minute game. This is a great game to give to families with younger kids. The dinosaurs in it are just adorable. Really fast and easy. It's really easy and quick to learn. The rules are really well written, and it plays up to 5. So, really great game if you're giving it and you want the whole family to be able to play it. Really, a 7-8-year-old could play this with no problems.
Yeah.
Whereas, you play on the other side, adults enjoy this game. There's enough here that you're not bored, especially given it doesn't overstay its welcome at, it takes us maybe 15 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
To play a game. You could easily play a couple of rounds in an hour, and feel like you got a lot of fun out of it, play one of each side, so.
All right, she had an IP game. I've got one. Legendary has a bunch of different types. They've got the Marvel Studios, the straight comic Marvel. They've got a bunch of different ones out there. The villains. They've
James
got
Bond.
encounters. They've got James Bond. So if you got somebody that likes games, and again, this one's a little bit. This is kind of a next step. It's not hard, but the setup can take a bit. For example, I picked Big Trouble in Little China because I know several friends that love this, and they generally, these smaller ones, the film version of the Marvel and these are smaller ones. They tend to be reasonably cheaper, and they're small enough that they ship. Also, to be fair, they have Buffy the Vampire Slayer of this style, so it's not the encounters. So there can be some more to it, but I think it's a good way to go. And I've been rambling a lot today, so I'm just going to let you go.
The biggest problem with the legendaries is the setup time. Like, you have to know a little bit to get through the setup.
Yeah.
But so you don't want to give it to someone who's brand new and never have played any really modern board games. But anyone who has played some won't have any problems with it.
Nope.
This is Forbidden Desert. There's also Forbidden Island and Forbidden Sky. This is a cooperative game. Really easy. This one's a little bit harder. This is the kind of the medium weight one, but still it's not necessarily hard. If you were giving it to someone who's brand new, I would say give Forbidden Island. But someone who's played some games, Forbidden Desert's going to pose them no problems. But the way the sand moves is really fun. This is an expensive game. There's a lot in it. It's a great game for families. It's a great game for people who've played a few games, but maybe not played a lot of cooperative games yet, and you want to give them something new to try. Gamewright in general, anything Gamewright is always a good choice for a family game.
That one's pretty cheap, so that works. So Azul, many of you already know about Azul. Azul is a tile selection game that can be mean. You can, for lack of a better term, hate draft or lock somebody into a bad position. But it's a very beautiful game. It's easy to learn. And if you decide not to go cutthroat, it's a pretty relaxing one. We've played with a couple of cutthroat people that will attack mercilessly, but it's pretty smooth. It's a fun game. It's got lots of chunky tiles. It's quick. It is easy to learn, but you got to think a little bit. So this one's definitely an early or beginner game, but Azul works really well as a gift, and you can normally find this also pretty cheap, and it's readily available.
And most people will enjoy just the beauty of it, and they don't feel like they're overwhelmed by the theme or anything like that. Sometimes there's certain themes that, even though the game's simple enough, might be off-putting to someone who isn't used to the hobby board games.
Mm-hmm.
Another one similar but a little bit different is Sagrada. I love Sagrada. It's so beautiful, and it's with dice, but again, a really easy introduction game. This is much more of a puzzle. I mean, Azul is a puzzle. I would say this is the next step of a puzzle.
Yeah.
Because you have to... There's more rules. There's rules to the placement in Azul, but it feels like there's more here with the numbers and the colors. But not hard to teach at the introductory base level of this. And it's a relaxing puzzle as you figure it out, and really enjoy it. And again, you could give it to anyone, and they're like, oh, I'm making a stained glass window. I always take a picture of my finish just because it's so pretty. And I love that when I finish, it's always done, because everyone gets the same number of dice. You always finish your window, and the completionist in me just loves that. I never end up with one, unless, of course, I have a, X out because something went wrong, but I try really hard to avoid that. But really pretty, really fun. It's, again, a lighter one, but still, I feel like there's some meat here, so you could give it to someone who's played some games, and they're not going to feel like you gave them a baby game.
I think that one's a next step. It could, if somebody's not prepared for it, there's a couple things in it that can get it. It's not a heavy game by any stretch of the imagination, but I would definitely not, that shouldn't be the first hobby game you play. Dominion. I'm not going to lift this up just in case the cards fall out. But Dominion, I know we've given at least twice. You can find it. It's readily available. Tends to be a bit more expensive, but you can find it on sale. But this game is the grandfather deck builder. Big Trouble in Little China deck builder. Legendary deck builders have roots. They're different but the same. All of it can almost be traced back to here. Some people would argue further back, but this one made it popular and a good mechanic. I don't have a better way to say it. There is no theme.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the cards do cool things. You purchase them, put them in your deck, play them, do cool things. Try and get the most points by the end of the game.
It's got a medievalish, pasted on theme to it, but there's no theme. The nice thing is the setup is almost nil. So unlike Legendary, which you really do have to pay attention to how you set up the deck, this one has none. The only complicated thing about this is you have both actions and buys, which that's the perk of something like Harry Potter as a starter deck builder, is that you don't have to worry about that. But this is a lot of fun, and especially if they've at least done some gaming, this is a great new one for them to pull out.
So that's ours. We went a bit longer than I thought we would, but that's okay.
It's because you were rambling.
All right, so we'll start the marital spat at the end of the video, but we're good, and this is Ray, Jenny, and Shadow wandered off, so he won't at least be in the next